Welcome back to the pod book. In the next 2 chapters, I want to return to exploring unividual ethics. How should we live as future people now? Now, the word ethics comes from the Greek, ethikos. It was translated into Latin by Cicero as moralis, which is where we get morality. And it's about how should you and I behave as part of a collective. Life just happens to us, doesn't it? And we're responsible for how we respond. And understanding the wisdom to respond well, that's ethics. And justice is about the penalties that would be imposed for breaking those ethical norms. So I want to suggest, as always, that if we want to understand where we're going, we need to understand the evolutionary process that has got us here. So in this chapter, I want to look at the evolution of ethics. And I think it goes right back way before biology, before anything. And you can see that every system needs to maximize homeoresis, which is the ability for a process to continue. So every system is a process, and it needs to continue in relationship with its environment. And if it does that, it hurrah, success. If it doesn't, it's finished. And then that will translate to the biological level, and you can see that that becomes the survival instinct, the instinct to protect the family, the genetic group, or the herd, so that you're getting the physical homeoresis becomes biological homeoresis. And then as we enter human culture, that becomes ideational. You need to work out ways that this particular group of human beings, this collective, can survive. And what that means is it's a more emergent level of something very, very primitive, which is every system needs to be integrated and coherent in itself, and it needs to get what it needs from its environment. So as a biological system, I need everything to be healthy in my body, and then I need to get nutrients and air and water and all of that. And social collectives are doing that too, but on a completely different level. So that you see that the collective integrates and makes itself coherent with ethical norms around, within the collective, kindness. We're all of the same kind, so we treat each other with kindness. And then if someone doesn't do that, with justice. And that's like the immune system going, oh no, get that out. That needs to be killed or needs to be expelled. And then you see the collective in relationship with the world, and it needs to get what it needs. And it can do that through a type of kindness, which is trade. Oh, I'll give you this, you give me that, between different groups. Or it can do it through unkindness. It can just go, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take what I need. And the cultures that maintain the coherence within and the predation, really, without the best, they will do well. And those that don't will go under. And that, in a few seconds, is history, folks. And you can see it in primates and other animals. There's things you're allowed to do within the group which hold things together. And then there's things which you can do to other groups which would be unthinkable in the groups. I mean, some of the horrendous behavior from a modern human point of view that chimps will do to other groups of chimps. I mean, they'll torture them. Horrible. But it serves the group because they've just completely humiliated their rivals and they're dominant. That group will do well. The other group will go under. So what I'm suggesting here is that moral systems amongst human beings, which are a development of instinctual systems, are about suppressing selfishness and enabling cooperative groupishness so that the collective can thrive in relationship to itself and in relationship to its environment. And as ideation increases, culture increases, you see that what is regarded as good becomes more and more ideational. It's no longer just about food and survival. It's about justice and honor, and it's built on those values which are inherent in biology with values which are arising and evolving with culture. And all those justifications, like, oh, well, it's okay for me to take from my neighbours. Indeed, it's okay for me to take my neighbours, because collectives have been enslaving their neighbours for as long as we know, right the way back to primitive people, because that's the most easy and efficient way, if you're stronger than them, to get what you want for your group. But increasingly you see this justified by God has commanded us to do this. Like when the Israelites are told to go and take the promised land and kill everything and everyone. It's like, well, God said. Or right up to the 19th century, where the Western powers are carrying the white man's burden by colonizing Africa and so on and so on. So at an early stage, what you see is warrior cultures with warrior ethics. Warrior cultures because the strongest culture that can defend itself from those who want to take from them and can take from others, that will flourish. And those human beings who can be brave servants of the group and put themselves on the line in a dangerous, dangerous world, they're heroes. And if you can come back and go, hey, look, I killed all these people for our group, it's like, yeah, you're a great guy. Oh, and you've brought some of them with us to be slaves for us. Fantastic. God, you're great. That's the morality. And it's understandable, I think, because if they weren't doing it, they'd have it done to them. That's the world they were living in. And in that world, you see a ethic of honor and status. What matters is where you stand in the rankings of things, because like with you see with chimps, like you want the best chimp to be the head guy, and the same in human cultures. You want the strongest person, the wisest too, it can be, who is able to work out how to keep the group together and to fend off the dangers and to predate if necessary on others. And then that is going to be replaced by religious, divine moral law. And that's a powerful way of making a much bigger collective hold together, because there's divine authority now. This is coming from something beyond. And whilst you may think you got away with it, with breaking the rules, you start to think, oh, I haven't really, have I? God or the gods, they know. And if they don't punish me now, they will when I die. And you get another level of the enforcement of social cohesion. And you get all the rules which are going to benefit social cohesion. So loyalty to your people, respecting your elders, respecting authority, that holds things together, not harming people, not killing them. Well, you can kill people outside the group and inside the group if they're go rogue, but basically you don't kill people. That's a good rule to hold a society together. Marriage rules, taboos against adultery, stop those sort of conflicts. So you're kind of trying to get a handle on all of those biological and sexual instincts which can be so disruptive. Not taking from others. Don't covet your neighbour's ass. All of that. These all hold the group together. It's coherent. Religion, the etymology of the word is to bind together. And the group coheres through the shared rules, the shared values, the shared ontology. Though we all think the world was created in this way, we all think its purpose is this, we all do these rituals to enforce that together. And then the spirituality within that is, as I've discussed this already, is helping human beings move from instinctual reaction to ideational response. So encouraging reflection. You don't just, bah! You're encouraged to respond in a more way which is better for society. And I talked about that really, that self-taming. And I talked about dueling, how even quite recently, men who disagreed would have to go and try and kill each other, but in a civilized way. They'd moved beyond just thumping each other and going into a brawl, although, of course, that still happens all the time. And then from that religious ethic, you get a secular, moral individualism. So religion goes into decline. You get the idea there's no God. Oh, so now is there no moral law? And a lot of people think that's the end of morality, which I think is nonsense. Morality doesn't have to come from God, because we're simply talking about how human beings have been looking for the wisest way to live together. And that was a phase in it. And what you see with this individualism that comes in is the next level of responsibility. So you've gone from you're responsible to go along with the norms. You're responsible to do what God decrees. And then we get this new phase, which is you're responsible for finding the wisdom of how to be good for yourself as best you can. There is no external authority. And that becomes very creative. That the whole arising of the modern individualism, is a burst of creativity in every area, including in ethics, how we should live together. So in just in my lifetime, I've seen individuals questioning the divine laws and the moral norms, going, homosexuality, is that bad? Why is that bad? Why can't people just be who they are? They're not hurting anyone. And now it's okay. So that level of individual questioning has led to, I think, a more emergent morality. And you're moving beyond the moral laws. Now, Christianity had that within it. St. Paul talks about replacing the law with love. The spirit, finding the spirit, not the word. And we now, I think, increasingly have that sense of, it's not a matter of whether you just obey the rules. It's actually about being actually good. And I think you see that in the way we treat our kids. It's like when our kids are very small, you teach them a rule. You go, don't take toys from other kids. That's bad. And it is bad. But you don't want them to stay with that. You don't want them to grow up and the rest of their life go, oh, I don't take things from other people because otherwise I'll get punished. You want them to go beyond the rule and go, I don't take things from other people because it would hurt the other person. I don't want to do that. They have genuine empathy. That's what you're trying to get to. You're trying to get beyond the rule. And the rule can never capture it. It's because you see this in society where we're forced to create laws, and it's hard because the thing we're trying to legislate is just incredibly complex. And a moral rule or an actual law is at best a generalization, and each specific situation is unique. So do unto others as you would be done by. There's a great general rule for guidance. But not all people are the same. And what you would like to happen to you may not be what this person would like to happen to them. I take a silly example. It's not silly, but it's a lightweight example. If I was upset, I might want somebody to give me a hug. But I have friends who have neurodivergent ways of processing who really don't want to be hugged. So they're generalizations. Don't lie. I mean, that's a pretty good rule of thumb, as they say, but it's only a rule of thumb. You can think of many examples. One that comes to mind for me is when my mother was in a home and she was dying, there was a lady there with Alzheimer's who would wake up every morning and go, when's my husband going to come and visit me? And eventually the staff realised that they couldn't just tell her every morning, oh, I'm sorry, your husband's dead. And for her to be bereaved newly every day was just better to say, oh, he'll be here later. So this latest phase, which is the precursor to the individual phrase, has been about a birth of creative morality beyond the kind of stuck passivity of the moral law. It doesn't mean all of that's nonsense, of course. It means that there's a creative burst of looking for wisdom. Now, I don't think it leads to moral relativism, which is the route some people have gone down, of going, well, all moral views are the same. They're not. Relativism it doesn't work. We'll have a whole chapter on that. I mean, some plumbers are better than others. They just do a better job. Some scientific theories are better than others. They just do a better job. Some philosophical stories are better than others. They do a better job. Same with ethics. But what this can lead to, this individualism, is moral pluralism. You've got lots of different views. And that's creative. If it's within you, because you're looking at all these different ways of seeing it, it's creative. Or between us, it's creative. But it's a precursor to integration. It's a precursor, to me, always. That pluralism is going, okay, and now we've got more. It's like having more genetic code to develop something new with. It's like, how can we find the best from this? That this will help us in the quest for wisdom. And what are we looking for in regards to ethics? We're looking for how we help, what ideas can help us live together in a mutually beneficial way. But the question is, who is us? Who is the group? And that, like everything, of course, has evolved. So the group was my genetic tribe, people I'm related to. Then big nations, empires, religions, classes, ideologies, all of that. And then from that expanding sense of us, increasingly, there has been a growing number of people going, oh, us is everyone. It's one human family. It's us. Everyone. And there's one ecology of life, actually. Oh, and it's a universe. It's all us. It's all us. And that's the unividual shift. So that when you come into really getting that, when you sense that, oh, it's us. I am connected with everyone and everything. What arises is this unividual benevolence. There's not a limited kindness. Well, I'm kind to me and mine, but I can be unkind to those lot. They're not my kind. And that changes. And there's a universal kindness. There's a very basic level in which we are all of one kind, even though we're all different as well. So I can't morally benefit me and mine at the expense of you and yours anymore. I can't do that. So my responsibility has evolved from way back in history, where it's my genetic tribe. It's a biological responsibility to my genetic people. And then that's moved on to an ideational responsibility to my ideational tribe, those who share the culture with me. And then this latest jump of going, oh, no, it's to the whole. It's universal. It's the whole human family. And that's where you arrive at what I described earlier as the unividual ethic, which is individual responsibility, because you're an individual and you can respond. Well, you're going to react at the very least, but you can respond. And the unividual insight is having universal benevolence, so that you are individually attempting to respond with that universal benevolence. Now, I'm aware that can sound overwhelming. It's like an overwhelming sense of I can't respond to everything with universal benevolence. What would I? How? What? It's like, and that's right. But you're only responsible. I'm only responsible for where I can respond. so that there's what the philosopher David Hume called concentric circles of empathy, which is all my connections which go out from me, my family, my friends, my group, my narrative connections, so that it's closeness in relationship, in narrative proximity. Those are my responsibilities. Now, I may have some responsibilities for everything, but the big responsibilities are the ones that are close up to me. So how can I have the wisdom there? And that's where you get the phrase which I shared earlier. I find it helpful. It's very simple. Go up, love wisely. So if I'm going to respond as a unividual, ethically, I need to come up into unividual processing, where I have that communion, and I express that benevolence or love as wisely as I can. I find the way of expressing universal benevolence within my particular relationships. Okay, what have I been exploring? Ethics is a continuation of the need for homeoresis that you see right back at the beginning of the emergence. That will become biological survival, instinct, and that will become the need for a collective of human beings to have coherence within and to get what they need from without. And that's often kindness within, unkindness without. And we've developed through these different ethics, depending on our society, as things get bigger, we go beyond a kind of warrior honor ethic, where it's like the person who can help us hold the group together and defeat the opposition. That's the thing to be respected and honored. And then we've moved to religious cultures, which can hold much bigger groups together because God is laying down the rules and there's a divine authority. And if he doesn't get you now, he'll get you when you're dead. And then that's collapsed under the birth of the modern age and the modern individual, giving rise to moral individualism, much more creative now. Not about obeying the rules, finding what's right for you, finding the good for you as best you can in relationship to others. And then more recently, that's given rise to, a unividual ethic, a universal benevolence. And that's what I've been wanting to explore, what it means to live as a future person now, with that individual responsibility to express universal benevolence in our particular relationships. To go up and love wisely. So we've moved from kindness to some to kindness to all. And there's something about that which the phrase I want to use is it when I really get it, when I really get it, it's seeing like God sees. When I come into that communion of souls, I'm trying to find the wisdom to see like the vast loving intelligence sees, how it processes this, and to have the wisdom to respond in a way that is authentic to that. In the next chapter, I want to focus on some of the challenges that we face in living by a unividual ethic. The biological process of evolution has made behaviors that benefit the system pleasurable, so that the system engages in them. And I want to suggest that has continued into our cultural evolution, so that we've found being kind to those within our group pleasurable, but more troubling that we've found being unkind to those outside of our group also pleasurable. And that as unividuals, we need to recognize that and to learn to transcend that.